in our culture, it's not, you're not
about
friends
friends,
with you.
yeah.
No,
It's about
it's like,
respect.
this is my parents, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the child, and whatever they say goes. That's how we were raised, right?
There's some cultural things that are just downright wrong. And then there's some cultural things that, you know, we can kind of live with because we can say, all right, well, I can vibe with that. It aligns with my morals.
I remember explicitly thinking, like, wow, I'm so glad she's not Nigerian.
But why is that though?
Because What's going on, TDY family? Welcome to another episode of Biblical Bifocals. I am your host, Winnie. Y'all already know on this channel, we try to present a practical biblical perspective to prevalent social issues. And let me tell you guys today, I'm on my couch. I got my boys with me, and it's gonna be this is gonna be an interesting conversation. Okay, so let me tell you where the idea for this conversation came from. I realized that my wife, her parents took a 23andMe like ancestry test, and turns out they're Nigerian. And I was like, yeah, right, exactly. Crazy. I'm like, this is a catfish, because I explicitly did not want to marry a Nigerian woman. And I started to unpack that. I'm like, okay, my mom's Nigerian, my sister's a Nigerian. Why didn't I want to marry a Nigerian woman? What was wrong with a Nigerian woman, like, in my eyes? And then I started like unpacking how I felt about my culture, the good, the bad, the ugly of it. And I'm like, started looking at my friend groups, and there were none of them are married to Nigerians. Only one of my friends, actually two of my friends, are actually married to Nigerians as well. And I was like, this is a conversation that might need to be had. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get everybody in the room at the same time. Otherwise, this would have been an 8-person podcast, but I did get 3 of my boys here. So we here, man. I want to introduce you guys. I'm going to go around the room real quick and pan out. So we got Dr. Chooks in the building. What's going on, bro?
How's everybody doing? You know, I'm having a good time. Thank you for having me here, bro.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing to be, you know, in the presence of brothers, to have this good discussion, you know. So I'll pass it down to Josh, you know.
What up, y'all? People know me as Josh. But yeah, I've been knowing Winnie for a long time now. Went to school together. And yeah, the rest of my boys, we grew up together.
Yeah, let me tell you a story about Josh really quickly. Josh has yet to beat me in basketball.
That's not true. That's not true.
And as much
Nope,
as he would like to,
let's tell the truth.
Pretend like he hoops.
Oh man,
That's out of 3.
Yet to beat me.
That's out of 3. What happened?
I won
You won how many games?
2.
All right. So then I beat you when? How many times?
1.
All right. Thank you. So I have
Mike, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
mine's no good on the pod, bro.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm Mike. Yeah, these my guys. You know, glad to be here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I actually have known Winnie since we were like, you know, little knuckleheads. My mom was his Sunday school teacher. Yeah, so we've known each other for a long time. I know his whole family, his mom and everything. So yeah, it's just good to be in Atlanta with him and the boys. So yeah, let's get into it.
Facts, bro. Yeah, Mike used to make me drink water out the back of his house.
the water hose.
Through the water hose.
Inside.
Like
He said you could come inside. Dang. Man.
Yeah, no, but good times. And I so like I kind of said, like, the reason why I wanted to have this conversation initially was like, we're all here, we're all Nigerian, Igbo,
Yeah.
Yoruba.
Yeah.
And
It's okay. It's okay.
we all we love our culture. I wouldn't say anybody here like doesn't love their culture, right?
Yeah.
Tell me one thing growing up in your culture that you hated, but now that you realize that you kind of like it.
Well, I'll let Mike take that, you know, because he was saying something earlier that, you know,
Mike, what you
made sense.
I mean, so for me, I would say the extreme level of discipline that parents put onto the kids. And that's with everything that you do. That's, discipline when it comes to school, when it comes to doing your homework after school, when it comes to reading, friends,
Right.
who you hang out with, going to church. Oh man, I remember like even my mom's so strong for waking us up at
Ridiculous times.
10 p.m. on Fridays to go to Friday night vigil. You remember that?
Goodness, yes.
We go to church from 10, to 1 a.m. praying.
Right.
Just though even the physical discipline, the mental discipline, all types of discipline that was instilled in us. It was just crazy. But now I definitely would like, I didn't appreciate it then. It seemed like crazy. My friends were able to go out and have fun and hang out with each other, sleep at each other's houses, do whatever they wanted to do. And I didn't get the chance to do that. So I just thought I was, being left behind. But now I kind of see, as a parent now too, I kind of see why she was that strict. And I definitely appreciate it much more now. And it's a lot of those principles and a lot of that discipline that I learned, I'm definitely going to apply it to my own family too now. So
even at 10 p.m. night vigil.
You taking them 10 p.m. night vigil?
I haven't been to night vigil yet. But it's on the list.
So like, okay, you go first.
No, so I mean, what I was gonna say is like what he's saying is factual, right? But it just like African parents, they don't raise us to be friends, right? Like I would say that. Like I despise my parents like how most people would as a kid because I just felt like they were just doing these things, right?
Oh, you're saying parents don't raise their children?
No.
Friends with
like
their parents.
In our culture, it's not. You're not
about
friends with you.
yeah.
No, it's like this is my parents, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the child, and whatever they say goes. That's how we were raised, right? At first, we looked at it as it was like this terrible thing, right? But now I'm friends with my parents, right? Like now, but it's not even just to the aspect that I'm just friends with them. Like now I make the decisions, right? If I say something, my parents listen to it no matter what, because it's just like, I've earned their respect, right? Like before, like it's not like before we're looking at it a certain way, but it's all about respect, right? It's all about getting to a certain level to earn the respect, right? Some of us, it's earlier, some of us, it's later, right? Because of my process, I've earned their respect when I've earned their respect, right? Somebody is my youngest brother, right? He finished early as well. So he earned their respect at 22 or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's different for all of us, but it's just all about earning their respect. And I think like that's the biggest thing to African parents.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like the way that you put that. So that's not the case with like a lot of other cultures.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like I get the part about like working towards a healthy respect between the parents, and like once you get to a certain level of achievement. What I've noticed growing up is like obviously like I was raised like without a dad. My dad left when we were pretty young. And I still remember when he left, he was like, take care of your mother and your sisters. Right. So at that point, I almost felt like he took off a mantle and like put on a mantle of me that kind of gave me responsibility at a young age, but it also kind of gave me that respect that you're alluding to at like a very young age as well. Because when I spoke at 13 years old, like my mom listened. Right. And that's a factor of the upper role as well.
Right.
The first son.
The first son, of course.
That comes with its own set of responsibilities. It's
so much
hassles as well. And I kind of want to like talk about that really quickly. So like as a first son specifically, first son.
Yeah.
First son.
Oh, okay. So as a first son.
Yeah.
Are you guys okay?
Okay, bro. Thank you for asking. Honestly,
does anybody just want to cry?
My God.
Well, so I'll add though, you guys are the first children and your boys. I have an older sister.
I have an older sister.
Okay. So I think I'm interested to hear their perspective, but I think for us it's a little bit different too.
I think so.
Because the older sister does get a little bit of flack. Shout out to my sister. She gets it a little bit. So I'd be interested to hear y'all perspectives on that.
So I think for me personally, being the first son, just from a young age, we got responsibilities tossed on our plate, right? It was the discipline that we received. I think we got disciplined the hardest and the worst because we had to set an example. for the younger siblings. So
Right.
discipline was bad.
Right.
The beatings were crazy. But we're also, because we also like to experiment the most.
If you know, you know.
I mean, I think as a male, so as a boy, obviously we're adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
So we're throwing balls in the house. We're like running out the house. We're doing the things that we shouldn't be doing naturally as boys. But then they have expectations of us and responsibilities that we need to kind of take care of to handle our siblings. So balancing both of those, I think from a young age was pretty tough. But I think there's a point in time where we get a little bit of freedom. I'd call it that college era. And then once we're adults, I think things automatically switch when we start making money.
That part.
That's something that we'll unpack. But I'll leave that right there as my 2 cents because I want to hear.
I mean, for me, it's completely different, right? And it's different because I wasn't born here, right? So it just like my life in Nigeria was completely different, right? Like, let's put it as simple as this, right? When it comes to, my mother will put out the food, right? She'll put out the food and I'll pick first, right? She gave me that respect in that regard because she knew that there was more coming, right? Like she always wanted me to pick. If it's wrong, if it's right, she wants me to be the one to pick. She wants me to always be the one to make a decision, right? That's the biggest thing. And then it just like coming here and them having so much of a responsibility, having to work so much and things like that. It was just like, well, you got to do all of this immediately. So for me, I never felt like I had ever had a break, right? But I feel that they always let me know that I am doing what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it just like, that's my take home and just, okay, you good. You know what I'm saying? But I've never stopped going, right? Like when we first got here.
What do you mean you never stopped going?
So, okay, for example, like when we first got here, I'm the one who's doing all the laundry, right?
Okay.
My parents are working all the jobs. So I'm packing the lunches for my siblings. I'm packing my parents' lunches. I'm making sure the house is good. Like, and I'm doing this at an early age. I'm talking about 12, 13. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like college let's not even get to college, high school. Mm-hmm. Now I'm working, but I'm helping, right? Like what I earn, I help the family with.
Okay.
Right. And then it's just like, I'm still doing all the other responsibilities, which is taking care of my siblings. Right. Yeah. And then you revert that to college.
So it doesn't, that's kind of what I've noticed. It doesn't stop. Like as a first son, your responsibilities never stop.
They just look different.
They just always look different.
Yes.
So like, one of the best examples of this that I have is, I think this is in John, right? Like when Jesus was hanging on the cross.
Okay.
And he's dying on the cross right now. He looks down and he sees his mom to his right, and he looks at John, the disciple, and he says, "This is your mom now. Make sure to take care of her." Okay. Like, and I think about like how much humanity that takes, like how much cognizance, how much like selflessness right. that takes, you know what I'm saying? To literally be dying on the cross and still have enough wherewithal to say, this is my mom that I care about. Let me make provision for her here. And Jesus was the first son, right? So I see a lot of parallels in the responsibilities that he had, how he, kind of provided for his mom, did the miracle, with the wine and all that. And it just lets me know that, it don't matter kind of what you think you're going through. You're not dying on a cross. Like you can still make space for all these other people in your life. This is something that you should prioritize, like giving of yourself and making sure that you live up to that upper title, that first son role. But man, it's weighty. I think it's weighty.
I mean, I think it's very weighty when you compare our, let's call it low level life responsibilities compared to like Jesus Christ.
I guess when you compare anything
to Jesus Christ. Right. It's huge.
But okay, so talk to me about like, so when I was growing up as a first son, I had an older sister. So I was kind of the older sisters kind of like ran the house as like the second mom of the home. They kind of take a lot of that responsibility.
That's nice.
Off you. It must be, it was sweet.
Was it nice?
Yeah, nice.
No, I mean, both y'all.
Yeah, both you guys.
Like, was it good? Did you enjoy that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If I think about my life, if my older sister wasn't there, it would be 10 times as hard.
Okay.
Because she honestly ate a lot of like those bullets. Like a lot of those bullets initially, you know, came through there. I think that's like a first child thing. The first child gets a lot of the bullets entirely. But like what I noticed was a constant sense of like a need to fulfill, right, and a need to perform. That's one of the detrimental things that I had to work out of coming out of this first son role in like a Nigerian household, like a need to perform and a need to impress and fulfill. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like, kind of like you said, I felt like I had to earn my love and earn my respect and earn my, you know, parents' affection in a sense. Whereas my counterparts at school, you know, the ones that were born in this country and you know what I'm saying, they got an Xbox just because.
Right.
You don't think love looks different though in our culture?
I think love in our culture.
Our culture is respect. Love is respect.
Exactly.
It's one and the same. That's literally what it is.
But I can disagree though, because I do feel that our parents love us regardless of most things. Most things they show and give love. It just looks different.
Give me an example. I wouldn't disagree that our parents
question,
love us.
No, question, right? But what about those Nigerians, or let's not even say those Africans who are not doing well? What's the look to their parents? Like those ones that, you know, you hear the parents talking about it at the parties, like, oh, nah, my son is not doing this, or my son.
They're disappointed.
They're disappointed.
But that's
right.
Love and disappointment is two different things.
But then is the respect there?
I'm talking about love.
But he's saying love is the same as respect. So I want to hear what you think. Like, what does love look like for African parents outside of respect?
Okay, well, love simply looks like a parent caring for their child. Mm-hmm. And so respect, yes, it can be earned at an early age, but honestly, respect is something in our culture that doesn't come until someone is of a certain age, typically. So before that age, love is, oh, I'm going to make sure that you have food. I'm going to make sure that you're good. I'm going to make sure that you even know how to do certain things so you can take care of certain things. Like that's what I kind of see loving parents do within our culture up until a certain point. Because I think if we're going to be real here, there's certain expectations for certain age groups. So we're not going to expect a 10-year-old to do what an 18-year-old is doing or what a 30-year-old is doing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in. I kind of agree with you, Josh, because I'll say in my household, I feel like love was also discipline, especially at a younger age. Trust me, I got plenty of beatings. It was like, I'm only doing this because I love you. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So at that age, I would say it's not about respect at that age because you're so young. Like, I don't think any parent's gonna have that respect for a child, but it could be discipline. It could be, I think in our households, they don't, especially in African households, I think what we're getting at is they don't necessarily express themselves the emotion the way that other cultures do. So in our culture, it's kind of, you know, my mom going to work, busting her butt overnight, blah, 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 putting food on the table and stuff like that. She don't really get to have the chance to say, oh, I love you before going to school or those sorts of things. And it's like, when we acting out, it's like, don't you know that I love you? I'm doing all this stuff. And it's like, that's her version of it.
Of showing
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I get that from like the love language perspective. Like everybody has different love languages. Everybody has different ways of showing love, but also everybody has different ways of like experiencing and accepting love as well. I think that one of my gripes, and I really don't want to sound like I'm always like crapping on like African parents and like Nigerian culture, because I love my culture. I think it's a great culture. I just have experienced all the worst parts of my culture. I've experienced some good parts too. But I think that what I've noticed is, unlike other cultures, we always have to bend to, like the receiver always has to bend to what the giver has to do, rather than the giver being cognizant of how the receiver will take it. Like, for example, can I expand on that?
Go ahead.
So like so if I know my receiving love language is words of affirmation, right? All of my Look, he like what
What are you talking about, bro?
That's really tough,
Bro, it's tough in the culture.
But you get me, right? So like it's acts of service
Yes.
is how our parents show their love.
Right.
Acts of service.
Right.
If your love language is physical touch, you're cooked.
Well, you
When was
get
like-
needs.
you know, where was the last time, like growing up, can you think of a memory? And I could think of a few because my mom was obviously a woman, so she did that a lot. But can you think of like maybe 5 memories where your parents just came and like gave you a hug and gave you a kiss on the forehead or something?
A kiss on the forehead is very foreign.
What?
Okay, or like just something like just like some sort
But
of like
I'm proving your point.
right. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I think that, you know, the receiver, usually the children, always kind of has to bend to whatever the giver is. But then that completely switches. That completely switches around when you come to adulthood, and then now you start showing love to your parents, because it's like they expect acts of service. They almost demand it. You know what I'm saying? And if you give any other language, it's like this is not what I'm looking for. This is not what I'm looking for here. Yeah. This is just generalization. I'm sure everybody has different experiences, but just my general.
I find myself having to educate my parents on like different love languages and how others like should be giving or receiving, you know, certain emotions and love languages. And I think that's new to them because like you said, acts of service and gifts.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
we don't
and gifts
do
in only one form. Monetary.
Money. Yes. Right. Send money.
Send me money.
So yeah, I mean, I think y'all get what I'm saying there though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just going back 1 second to the point Mike was saying, right? Like the whole respect, right? But they disown, right? Like that's my whole point, right? Like the whole love thing, right? Like it's just like, yeah, we can say that it's not tied to respect, right? And it's tied to all of this, but after a while, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're getting disowned. I don't know if anybody's foreign to that.
You're not wrong. So I think this is the difference between somebody that was like raised predominantly in Nigeria and then somebody like my mom, for example, who was raised in England, Nigeria, and America pretty much. So she spent like, she's more westernized than like a traditional Nigerian. So she's even a little bit lighter.
Right.
I wouldn't think that my mom would ever disown.
Right.
But like, I know that there are some parents in Nigeria today that
not just in Nigeria, here
that are strict with it, that if they slip up multiple times, they will disown.
Right.
So I kind of see.
So now, are you disowning me because you love me or you hate me? Right.
I think it depends on their definition of love.
But that's what I'm saying. But you're basically disappointed in me, right?
Yes.
So you're disowning me, hoping that I do better. But how long? Do you guys get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the expression of love changes based on how, based on the action. So like the definition of love is how do I put this?
It's what the love is rooted in. If the love is rooted from like the expectation of success in their eyes, then if you fall out of those boundaries of success in their eyes, then there's no framework
for love.
There's no room for any other type of love
or any other type of emotion except for disappointment. Let's say it like that, because I wouldn't say that parents start not loving their kid. I would say that they feel other stronger emotions that overshadow the love.
Overpower for sure.
Let's put it like that.
I think you could say also they take extreme measures to make you wake up, if that makes sense.
100%.
Like I think that's where the disowning thing comes from. 100%. It's like, if this is what I have to do to make you like wake up, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And it's like you said, the person who I don't know, my mom says beggars can't be choosers. Like the person who has the power is the person that gets to decide how they dish it out, right? So like, if they're your parent and that's what they feel like they need to do, that's what they're gonna do. Yeah. So
facts. Okay, so we have like a general understanding and a general love-hate relationship with our culture. Okay. Hopefully more love than hate. What I noticed is that none of us are married to Nigerian women here. Was that purposeful? Was that done on purpose, or was that just like a product of environment or circumstance? Or talk to me.
I don't think it was a product of environment per se. I think for me personally, my parents kind of like tried to force that on me. And I kind of hated that. So I was always kind of pushing that away because it was always forced on me. And it's like, why are y'all forcing this on me? I'm not too sure. But when I look at a lot of Nigerian marriages, it didn't necessarily fit the bill that I understood marriage to be. So I'll kind of pause there because we can dive into a lot of that. But essentially, marriage to them looked a little bit different than marriage to me, personally.
Yes, I would say, I don't think that my love-hate relationship with the culture really affected who I chose, because what is the point I want to make?
Well, I mean, so for me, it has nothing. It's purely environment for me, right? It's purely environment. I'm I'm a very evil boy now. You understand? So if you put me in the village, I shall, get married. So, but it's purely environment for me. And my parents like raised me on more so like love is love. You know what I'm saying? Like, you love who you're supposed to love, right? Like who you run into, how you deal with the person, and just like whatever happens from there. Mm-hmm. They never really pushed that you had to be with this person or you had to be with that person. It was just more so like, whoever you're in love with, I hope it turns out well. That's kind of what I got.
That's kind of how my mom was too. Yeah. She always was just like, do it, but she always wanted she always wanted like the culture front.
100%.
Well, I remember an instance where I went to a Yoruba church, and there was like this girl that I was talking to at the time, and she was Yoruba, and like that was it. Like everybody was like, oh, that's who you're getting married. Right. 21 years old, 20 years old, like that's clearly going to be your wife, right? Like, let's just wrap it up now. And I remember it ended up not working out. And even despite like when I started dating T, like there was still like resentment almost like with her side of the family, like the girl's like mom.
But why didn't it work out? I'm curious.
It didn't work out because I knew my worth. Yeah, I was the prize in the situation.
I was the prize in this situation.
That might sound sassy, but like
no.
I was the prize. I was the prize in the situation, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel like waiting or
I understand
not getting what I felt like I wanted. But yeah, like when I married T, like I remember explicitly thinking, like, wow, I'm so glad she's not Nigerian.
But why is that though?
Because I did a traditional wedding.
Yeah, but why you're so glad? Like, what in the culture like push you so much? Like, no, it must, because it's just like
no.
You're fighting against the culture. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah. But then it just like God is still putting you with the culture. Just like earlier when you were stating that she found out her ancestry, and then it just like.
So let me break it down. So when I was going through when I got engaged. And then when we were planning the traditional wedding, that was the most excruciating pain that I've ever felt planning a single event. Like from the material to the food to the interactions with all family and all my Nigerian side of the family too. And I thought to myself, like, if I had to do this like fully culturally, like I would have had to pay like a bride price. I would have had to do a bunch of stuff for like her side of the family as well. Like there was just so many things that I would have had to have done. And while that's not like a deal breaker in and of itself, it just felt like the expectation to. My mom always says this: when you get married, you're not only carrying yourself, but you're carrying your wife's side as well.
Right.
my wife's side did not expect me to carry them because they're like Americanized. If I feel like, and I might be wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong. If she was like fully Nigerian, like if this was like fully like Igbo, I feel like there would be a lot more expectation on that side of the family for what I would have to do for them.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's not false. And that I think that is what deterred me from, or at least made me grateful that I did not have that expectation when it came down to it.
But it'll be the only thing you know, right? Like the reason why you feel the way you feel is because you have options.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's the only thing that you know and that's the only thing that you're doing, like, it wouldn't be such a big, oh my gosh, I gotta do this. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I just feel like it's because of when we have too many options, then it's just like, well, let me take the least, you know? Mm-hmm. But for me, it's still your culture. So even if you weren't marrying a Nigerian and it's just like your family still said, you know, we want you to go through all of this, it's keeping the culture alive.
Yeah.
You know, like by the time you have a daughter, it's just like, as of right now, it might be a little different, right? But you have a daughter. So just like when it's her turn, you might be different and be like, no, he must go through every step to marry my daughter.
I'm gonna make him work a little bit.
You see, so it's a part of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But he's the father. So,
sure.
I would get to determine this.
Right. Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. But by then, everything might change, right? Like he might be going to Nigeria every year, and it's just like his perception. I know how you feel about Nigeria. I know.
I love Nigeria.
I know.
Theory.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, if you were now like visiting all the time, right, with your kids and viewing it a completely different way, by the time it's time for your daughter to get married, your views might be completely different.
Yeah, I feel that. One of the things that I know that I'm going to do, is that the culture in my home is going to be an amalgamation of different cultures. Right. Predominantly, obviously, like biblical culture. I'm going to try and keep it as biblical as possible. I think we're lucky as Nigerians that our culture is pretty like shaped more like the Jewish culture, which is pretty, you know, in par with biblical text. But between like the Bible, between the Nigerian culture and between like the culture that we decide on, like, for example, Friday nights, Saturdays, like we have chosen that like we try and keep that just family time. You know what I'm saying? So that's when my wife and I would go on our dates and stuff like that.
That's really nice.
That's like a cultural thing. We've decided that for birthdays, we don't throw parties. After the first one, we don't throw parties. Like we take trips. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a family cultural thing that we've decided to do.
Wait, so no more birthday parties?
So no more birthday parties. Yeah.
Oh.
After the first birthday, we don't throw birthday parties anymore. Yeah.
So why even the first birthday? Because
family. Because we value family and we want to give them a chance to experience.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And when you say the first birthday, you mean like
1 year?
1 year.
Yes.
But then after that, it's just
trips.
Okay.
Trips.
Okay.
Yeah. But like that's kind of what I mean. Like when you, like the older you get to decide which aspects of your culture you want to pull in. And that's kind of what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for like, let's filter this thing, right? Like, let's not just all take it because it's given to us and it's been passed down, because a lot of tradition is just man saying something because something, and we don't even know why we're doing it. It's like the monkeys with the spray and the banana. You guys know that story?
No.
So there's 10 monkeys get put in a cage pretty much, and a stack of bananas is at the top. So one monkey climbs up to get the bananas, and they spray every monkey and they spray them down. Right. And they keep doing that as much. So now none of the monkeys are going up to get the bananas. Right. And then they take one of the monkeys out and replace him with a new monkey.
Right.
That new monkey sees it, tries to go get it. And then without spraying, all the other monkeys pull him down, start beating him. Don't tell him what's up. Right. So then they keep doing that. They keep doing that until there's 10 new monkeys there. And every time one of them goes to get the banana, they all pull him down and start beating him. Right. Nobody has experienced this spray before, but they have all just felt beaten because they tried to do this one thing. That's exactly what tradition is, right? It's just you're doing this thing without necessarily knowing like the spirit behind it. And that's what I don't want us to get trapped by. Feel me?
I definitely understand that.
But there's some reason to tradition and culture within the Nigerian culture.
I'm sure.
there's plenty of reason. Now, I think that it gets a little muddied sometimes. Like your mom may say, or your dad may say, oh no, don't do this, or we do this. And they give you some random reason as to why we do it. And the real reason is not that.
Yeah.
and I don't think that that's really good. And on top of that, I think nowadays we're adults, right? We've lived, all of us here are just about in their 30s, just about.
That's y'all.
Just about.
That's y'all 30s.
You're well on your way.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of experience, and we've played with morals and ethics and religion, and we kind of know
we've been exposed.
Right versus wrong, right? There's some cultural things that are just downright wrong. And then there's some cultural things that, you know, we can kind of live with because we can say, all right, well, I can vibe with that. It aligns with my morals. So I think that culturally, things need to be, there should be reason for sure. And knowing that reason will allow us to either continue with the culture or discontinue it.
Yeah. So like questioning the culture as well.
Yeah, I think.
Or doing your research. You kind of have to, you know, do your own due diligence and go in and figure out, hey, what was the real reason? Because sometimes the people passing it down may not know. So you may have to have conversations with elders or whoever, ask around, or, you know, thankfully today Google has a ton of information, you know, so you can kind of go
Bing
and
Was that a plug?
No. Nah. So there's a ton of information on the web, you know.
Cool.
So you can go out there and figure it out on your own sometimes, or, you know, at least have a basis to say, hey, this is what I know about it. You know, is this accurate? Kind of deal.
Hey, Winnie, I got a question for the whole panel, and don't crucify me for this question. What do you not like? What do you love about Nigerian culture?
Our food.
You can't say food.
You can't say food is too easy. Food and music is too easy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What I love the most about Nigerian culture is the collectivism. It's like you need, like it's so deeply integrated that like almost everybody needs everybody to survive.
The community.
Like I still remember going to the, like when I was like 4 or 5, like on Christmases, I would go to the village to my grandfather's compound.
Okay.
I couldn't even make it into the gate without my cousins surrounding us and like pulling us off. And we're in this person's house until tomorrow. And like my mom didn't even know where we are. Like that. Those are memories that like I still think about and I still love. You can't, unless you find the perfect house for perfect community, perfect neighborhood in America, you really can't recreate that sort of, you know, community here.
But that's the thing. It's just like, it's the way that we were raised, right? Like I could be in California, and just because I just run into a Nigerian at a grocery store, now we're sitting there for hours and we're just talking about nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's the culture, right? And it's like that whole community sense, how you're just like, yeah, like my mom doesn't know where I'm at, but she knows I'm good, you know, she knows I'm with family. So for me, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, I can never take away from like the culture. Like, I need to immerse my kids in it. I need to immerse anybody I'm around into it. Like, that's just how I feel about it.
In all aspects?
In all aspects.
But
we got to filter that, bro.
So, well, I mean, for me, it's like, I take the good and the bad, right? Like I respect it for everything that it is, because that's what's created me, right? No matter how I would perceive it and just say like, oh yeah, like this is bad and this is the good part. Like it's all one thing. It's all the culture.
So
right?
if a bad part of the culture, so you're going to do a bad part of the culture knowing that it is a bad part of the culture.
I'm not saying you got to do the bad part of the culture. I'm just saying that you have to be more aware.
You just
right?
gotta love it.
You just gotta love it you gotta understand that that's there, right? And just you have to understand it not to know not to do it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. That part makes sense.
Okay.
But I want to understand all of my culture though. Mm-hmm. All of it. What's the reason this is this?
Yeah.
Bad or good.
That's fair. That's fair. Seeking understanding is not wrong.
Yeah, I would say our resiliency too. Like we're like super, I don't know, tough. It's just like you put us anywhere and we're gonna multiply and we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna be good. Like, you know, I see Nigerians like you can go to Alaska, there's Nigerians there grinding. You know what I'm saying? So like our hustle and that resiliency, I feel like is born into us that a lot of people in general don't really have. So
I wonder why that is. Like when you look at the Nigerian culture and you look at some other cultures, obviously some other cultures are similar, and then there's cultures that are completely different. I wonder what makes the cultures that are completely different a little bit more relaxed and like not necessarily over aspiring. Like I wonder why it is that way.
Can I say white people? Is that a stretch? Like colonization?
Sure.
Can we think about all the cultures that are like excelling right now? Those are the ones that had to like low key fight for their lives.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Nigeria is a hard place.
I mean, all right, but what about white culture? I don't think a lot of them had to fight for their lives, but a lot of them are excelling.
White culture is not a thing though.
Yeah.
Sorry?
There's no such thing as white culture.
I think there is.
I think it's more of an amalgamation of different cultures.
Yeah, you gotta kind of dive in, drill into.
I don't believe there's.
So you don't think that there's American culture?
What is an American culture?
White American culture?
What is it?
So like are you talking about like a trumpet, for example?
I mean, I wouldn't take it there. I don't want to toss politics into
No,
this.
we don't. That's fine.
But
like,
but listen, I would say that like, even though the colonization happened, I think the people were smart before. You know what I'm saying? They were hustlers before.
Yes.
Like, cause like usually like India, for example, I feel like we're also kind of close to Indians when it comes to our hustle, our like grind, you know, they're willing to put in the work, but they were smart before people got there. They just had to, kind of, what's the word? Like they kind of just had to adapt to what is happening now. Okay, now I got to use my hustle, my brains, my ambition to get here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But they were always smart, and their country, even before it was, you know, invaded, it was like, it was a beautiful country. They had everything. They had all the systems. Like Chu said, I don't know if he said it on the, yeah, he was talking about Benin, like all these civilizations like that existed and all these like structures that they had in place. It was there before, you know, people got there. So I feel like there is some, I think them getting colonized just kind of blew it up and kind of made it like more visible to where now we travel to Canada, we travel to Europe, we travel everywhere now because our country has kind of been destroyed in a sense. It's kind of been like our resources are being stolen from us. So now, okay, our country is this way. We can't, it's hard to make money as a college graduate. We got to go overseas and do the same thing. But when we come overseas, it's not like we just shining. We're shining everywhere we go. Like, you probably know the statistics, but like, if you look at the amount of black doctors that are here in the US, it's like, what percentage of them are Nigerian?
Most of them.
It's just crazy, man.
Facts.
So, I mean, I would say that Nigerians are resilient. That's the biggest thing I can say. Like, we're resilient and we're really willing to go anywhere and try to make it, right? Like, that's why I have cousins in Alaska, you understand? So it's just like, it just like they're all anywhere.
What are they doing up there?
Bro, they said that there's something to be made up there. They said, let's go. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the thing I respect about Nigerians. It's just like, we're willing to go.
Facts.
We're willing. If there is room to go to the moon right now,
they'll be there.
They'll be over there. They'll be over there. So that's what I love about the culture.
Oh, and I love our I don't know, parables or whatever too. the wisdom, man. Like the sayings and stuff, which kind of ties into marrying an American woman. It's like when you're blending your cultures, it can become an issue because like I always tell my wife, like, Yoruba doesn't translate into English very well. And you kind of got to excuse my family when they say certain things. It's just like, like my mom loves to say, like, for example, she'll be like, she loves to say this one parable. It's like, she'll say it in Yoruba, but she'll basically say like, all lizards like crawl on their bellies, but you don't know which one has a bellyache. And it's like, Mom, what does that mean?
That's
What-
smooth. That's smooth.
what
That's
does
smooth.
that
That's
mean?
smooth. That's very smooth.
It's like you can't say that to just a random person
No,
expected to
you
pick
know.
it up, But
What does that mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does that mean?
it just means that, like, for example, all of us are living and coexisting together in this world. We're all the same person, but you don't know which one of us are having any trouble.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know our intentions, right? You don't know the intentions of the next person.
Okay.
So, that's just really what it means. I think that she tries, that's the context that she puts it in when she's talking to me. It's like,
Okay.
That's tough.
like, especially she loves to use it when it comes to like picking friends. She's like, you can't roll with everybody basically. And it says
Can't
that. So
trust
that's kind of,
everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think our culture is beautiful. So all that to say, you guys, your culture didn't influence your marriage decision.
And I also think, so this is probably a podcast on its own, but I think like for me being born here and being Nigerian, like, and trying to fit in with, like, let's say not like I'm first generation. So like, I understand Yoruba, but I can't speak it. So like, for example, at church, you go to church and then you don't really fit in with some of the people that speak Yoruba or just came here or whatever. But at school, when you're around American kids or like Hispanic kids or whatever, you don't really fit in with them either. So it kind of puts you in a interesting place where it's like, where do you really go? And I think that's kind of what opens up probably all of our options to be like, okay, do we really fit in with like Nigerian women, or we fit in with American women? Where do we really fit? And it kind of like, we're just in the middle at that point. And this sounds weird, but like you said, kind of your options are open, but it's like, you really can take either part of your culture. Cause we're like Nigerian American at this point. And we hang out with a lot of African American people. We understand their culture as well. So it's like, we can kind of blend with multiple different cultures. So
You
That's a
you know
good
what
point.
comes to mind like immediately? This Bible, Galatians 3:28. It says, there is no longer Jew nor Gentile, slave or free, male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And now that you belong to Christ, you are the true children of Abraham. You are the heirs of God's promise. To Abraham belongs to you, and God's promise to Abraham belongs to you. That's Galatians 3:28-29. And it just makes me think that, like, regardless of like Igbo, Yoruba, Liberian, Nigerian, Ghanaian, you know what I'm saying, like American, Alaskan, like we are like, if we can unite under like a common banner, I think Revelation says that like at the end of the age, there's going to be people from every tribe, every nation, tribe, and tongue, right? Singing like, holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Like the common banner that we all have to unite on, that keeps our morals grounded, that keeps our ethics, our faith, our minds, I think is Jesus. And I think if we can lock in there, it doesn't matter whether you marry a Nigerian, whether you marry American, whether you like who you marry, doesn't matter how you were raised. If we can lock into those principles, I think we'll be good, you know?
I can agree with a lot of that for sure.
100%.
So, but a question for you, or a question for you guys, like, how do you blend your culture with your wives? Like, now that we got it out the way that you guys, we're Nigerian men, firstborn sons married to African American women. Like, how do you guys blend it? Because I know Juke's over here. I know he loves stew. I know he loves it. So it's like, is she learning the food? Is she spending time with mom? Is she learning the language? What do you like? For me personally, I feel like a lot of those things I took as opportunities, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
Shoot, I remember 2 years ago, I guess a little bit more than that, bringing Michaela to Nigeria for the first time. Yeah, so my wife has been to Nigeria.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Take her home.
She met the family. She's obviously been eating the food. She's learned how to cook some of the food. Although she doesn't necessarily like play too much in the Nigerian kitchen today, she still has the ability to, because she has learned. We just haven't necessarily made it a priority or mandated her to be doing it because we got kids and stuff now, so we got to take our time. But I say all that to say, I think just having conversations like this, right? Like telling them about our upbringing. I think we've done that while we were dating. And so Michaela, she's always questioned certain things like, all right, well, why do you guys do that? Or like, okay, are you guys going to do that this year? Or is it going to be like this? Like the way that we pray when she comes home to, you know, spend time with my family in Jersey, we all pray every night. We'll go to my parents' room, kneel down around the bed, and we'll pray. And so like, these are cultural things that she's getting used to and just kind of adopting it into her own things in daily life. So yeah.
Oh, it's really good that she's embracing that. That's like smooth, you know. For me, it's just like my lady, she actually really tries. You know what I'm saying? Like effort. It's not, it's all about effort, right? Like the more effort you put in, it just like she's trying, I'm trying to understand hers, because it's just like for me, yes, I was raised here, but I was also raised there. So there's still things in this culture that I try to like question, you know. But my lady, she knows I love my food. Like I can't live without it, you know. So just like for her, she tries to make once a week, right? She'll ask me what I want, and if it's egusi soup, if it's okra soup, she'll make it. Literally, I don't know. She'll make it, she'll freeze it, and she puts it in portions for me. And then I just go make it. I sell my fufu, and I am happy, you know? So it's just like, I really appreciate her for like taking out the time to learn that, right? And it just like, she sat with my mother and got that done. So I can't complain. And that's the food is like my love language. So feel that.
Yeah, shout outs to the moms too, man. Because
big facts.
I think without them, it'll be tougher. Like definitely, I feel like my mom definitely has made it easy. My mom has gotten my wife all the clothes.
Big facts.
She's come out taking the time to teach her, you know, basic words. You know, how do we communicate? How do we do things? Yeah, how do we greet people? Yeah, those sorts of things. Yeah. And like you said, my wife has also embraced it with open arms too. Like you said, I think it can be a struggle sometimes where it's like, especially the bad stuff in our culture, trying to get her on board. But then that's when we start having that conversation, like, do we really even need this in our culture? Is it something that we want to continue to carry on? I think it challenges us specifically because when you got somebody coming from the outside looking in and they're asking like, why do you do that? Right. It's like, wait, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we could just skip that part. Maybe really just move on. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the things, for example, I think Josh and I were in the car. I told him my son is, you know, we were passing by Georgia Tech. I was like, look at your school right there.
My man, he about to be one. He not one yet.
But he has.
That's a Nigerian way. I understand.
Books. He got babies. I see. Astrophysics. He got
yes, sir.
By four.
Even Josh was challenging me on that. Like, what if he wants to learn art? I was like, well, you can paint without going. You don't have to take my money,
bro. Like, what if he wants to be a dentist?
That's cool too.
I bet that my man.
That falls under doctor. So
yes, sir.
It's okay.
It's accepted. It's okay.
So, you know, I think that's something that when I talk to my wife, it's like, well, you know, I didn't study that. You know, so what if he wants, you know, what if he likes reading or something like that? I'm like, at first I was a little bit like turned off by it. I'm like, maybe something that we can discuss, and you know, I know what to do.
So what I love about like everybody's response is that like it all comes down to communicating like what you want out of a relationship. And I think that like all of our wives love us enough to try. Right. And like all of our moms, shout out to the moms. Big shout out to the moms.
Shout out.
We love you guys, honestly, because they can make or break homes and marriages.
Oh yeah.
And if they're not locked in, things go.
No, really.
Things go awry. So shout out to the moms and shout out to the wives for assimilating, because that assimilation is just as hard, you know, definitely just as hard. But if we communicate well to them, and we trust that they love us enough to try and make that adjustment. And then, like you said, we just talk through all the negative stuff. Like, I think we'd be good.
Facts.
Yeah. Okay, y'all.
What's next? What you got? What you got for us?
Well, Mike actually has somewhere to go right now. So
Let me see. I think I could take like one or two more.
You can take one more question.
Let's get it, man.
All right. So bet.
The businessman.
So what I want to hear, and I actually wrote this down, but now I'm thinking this might be a little bit of a stretch. Okay. I want to talk to, I used to do this in my previous session. So I want to talk to like younger, like Nigerians right now. Right. What advice would you give younger Nigerian Americans balancing like cultural expectations with their own faith, their own convictions, and then this cultural expectations as well?
That's very hard.
It's tough, yeah. I got a little nugget. I'll say, I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, but the biggest thing is your faith. Like, stick to that, because at the end of the day, that's going to drive like the direction that both of you guys are heading in. If you guys can, like, whether the person is from your same culture or not, like if you guys, let's say, you know, we all believe in Jesus Christ, we're Christians. If we meet at church and we both agree that, hey, I'm going to be a biblical husband, I'm going to be a biblical wife, that's going to be a much more fulfilling marriage than trying to marry somebody from your culture and just saying that, okay, this person's Yoruba, Igbo, whatever, so we're going to get together and we're going to figure it out. That person may not be led by the Spirit and going in the same direction as you. And at the end of the day, it's going to fall apart if you don't have a spirit guiding you, or if not working, if you're not actively going to church, reading the word, praying together, doing those things. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Like, if you're struggling, just make sure that you're aligned on your beliefs, right? You and your partner are aligned on your beliefs.
So
I respect that.
I think I'm gonna take it out of that lane and pull it into this different lane. But I think if I could like give advice to a younger Nigerian, it might go against the grain for the culture a little bit, but I think it would be to ask more questions when, like, to their parents. When we were younger, I think our parents didn't like when we asked specific questions.
But that's all the parents. That's all the Nigerian
That's every single one, I think.
Okay, but that'll be my advice, because I think that we lack a lot of true either context or understanding. We were just so used to taking instruction, which is why a lot of us thrive, like, because in school or at work, if you listen and you do, then you shall succeed, typically.
Right.
But I think that a lot of things got lost in translation when we were growing up, because all we did was just listen and do instead of seek understanding. And I think the understanding can lead to more respect a bit quicker, and just overall, like, your intelligence should also spike up too, because you can actually think critically about what's really going on instead of just operating as a robot.
Yeah, but I love that, because live example of that. So real quick, same thing. I didn't really ask too many questions growing up. It was like mom said, say or do, and I'd do it, whatever. My mom and I recently, probably in the last like year and a half, got into it like bad, because she told me to do something, and it was like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, you just telling me to do something, like, and without any context. I'm married now and I got a kid on the way. Like, you can't just tell me to do that. I'm the man of my own family. Like, I'm the man of the house. But then, after that, we kind of got understanding, like, we talked about, like, hey, you just be telling me to do things and without giving me the explanation or whatever sometimes. And so now a lot of times when she asks me to do something or she needs something, she'll like, hey, do you understand why I'm asking you? Or do you if you have any, she'll come out and say, if you have any questions, please let me know. Like,
She went corporate on you.
Never, she's never said that before. So you will break through, like, to his point, ask the questions, you're going to break through, you're going to get through to them, like, So where they understand like, hey, this person is actually needing this in order to grow. So
And do it respectfully, of course.
Yeah,
Not
respectfully, for sure.
ignorantly. 'Cause that's no, don't.
That will not be tolerated. It will not. For me, mine is just nice and simple, right? Like for me, I always felt like there was no end, right? So like my biggest thing is everything in life is temporary, right? Like I strongly live by that, right? Like, and if there was anything that I'm going to tell the younger generation, like do everything till you're an expert, right? And the pain is temporary. So because it's temporary, just do it the best that you can when you're doing it. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Even the happiness is temporary and the sadness is temporary. And if you treat everything in that aspect and in that manner, you'll get to where you need to be.
Facts. I don't know. I probably that all definitely makes a lot of sense. If I was given the advice and like I would probably say something along the lines of like get married earlier than later. Like don't let the cultural expectations keep you from taking specific steps, right? So like get married to who you want to get married to, when you want to get married, go to the college that you want to get, like that you want to go to. You know what I'm saying? Like do what it is that you want to do, like for yourself, with the understanding that obviously with like a biblical understanding, so like not completely selfishly, but just don't create a reason for resentment, right, with the culture. What I noticed talking to some friends is they held back on doing specific things over the course of their life, and it created resentment for the culture because they couldn't do X. They couldn't go to this specific college that they wanted to go to because they needed to be home because they were the first child and they needed to take care of their younger siblings. Like now you're feeling some type of way over a decision that you superimpose on yourself, and you're blaming it on the culture when yes, the culture influenced your decision, but overall it was you. So I would just recommend just like be your own person, and don't live for approval of a culture. Don't live for anything outside of what you might want to do and what you feel like God is calling you to do, and then everything will straighten itself out from there.
Yeah.
100%.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like receiving that advice as a child, it may not be hard to tell them. I think them actually living day in and day out and doing that, they're going to face a lot of challenges and battles within their family, and because of the cultural expectations.
No, but the thing is that who is telling you? Because most of our African parents don't want us to stay locally, to raise. That's what we impose on ourselves, just like you said, right? Like for me, I'm just like at this right now, like my parents just want me to be successful, get the practice going. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I need to plan for retirement for my parents.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do for their retirement?
But parents also did want kids to be close to them, like proximity wise.
Not all parents.
I think most do.
Not all parents.
I think most parents want to be close to their kids.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time, they want you to be but Nigerian parents, they want you to be as successful as it is. So if you get into Yale, go to Yale. They're not going to tell you to stay.
Yeah. Later in life though. Then like
so when are we saying like while we're in high school, or are we saying
I was referring to college, but yes, if you get into Ivy League, they're gonna tell you to go Ivy League for sure.
Sure, or a big public school too.
Yeah, but they still want you to be close. Like I mean, look, I don't know.
I know yours, right?
I don't know too many Nigerian parents that have been like, yes, go ahead, go far away. It's always been, I wish my son or daughter was closer.
I think it's a matter of wanting. Obviously, if you get into Yale, go to Yale. But I think they want that. They still want to monitor you at that point. Like they still want that reach on you. So that might be part of it as well. Yeah. I think that like most parents, most Nigerian parents are willing to let you go,
right,
once they're confident that you're good to go. I think that's what they really want. They want to get to a point where they can release you so that they can start leaning on you like as quick as
100% leaning on you as quick as possible.
No, I think that's really what I think that's their goal. Like my mom always says it. Like we raise kids so that they can raise us.
Yeah, that's something that's honestly a whole nother podcast.
That's a different.
I think we had this conversation before too. Like, yeah, the whole expectation that you're gonna come back and take care of them. It's like, wait a minute,
first gen thing though.
It's a first gen thing.
We're getting smarter where it's like, hey, we got a family to take care of. We gotta, look forward. We're not the generation to be sending money back home like willy nilly, and they stealing it, and they're for the XYZ, and we got stuff to take care of here. We're not that generation, so it's gonna be some changes coming
to some aspects, right? So, yeah, we're not the generation, but we are too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like for me, they don't have it. Like our parents, like they sacrificed everything, right? It's not like for me, I'm not like, oh my gosh, you're just here trying to make me become a doctor, so now you go sit on your butt and don't do anything. Like they really don't have it, right? Like they literally packed up their whole life, came up here, and they're like, okay, this is my lottery ticket, my kid, whatever. They're not begging or want us to give them $1 million mansion, or they're just like, nah, or son, I don't really have it. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have time to put money for retirement or this because they're working 3 jobs and they got 4.
But they also don't communicate that effectively.
But yes, they're not the best communicators, right? Mm-hmm. But like my parents are not sitting here like, okay, well, I did this so you can do this. Like they never push that on me. They never do. But because of everything that I've seen, I push it on myself. Mm-hmm. My siblings push it on themselves.
But so Chooks, the difference is though, I don't think any of us have an issue taking care of our parents, and we want to do that. I think our parents though are taking care of whole other
100%,
like
100%.
We don't have the same burden that they have, and that's the reason why sometimes now they don't have as much as they should, because they're taking care of their 10, 15 siblings and their kids. My mom's sending, this person's kids to school and paying their school fee. And it's crazy, but we don't have that same ties. Like I'm not funding the people that my mom is funding. Like I'm funding her.
Right.
And she can do, whatever she wants with her
money. Right.
That's the collectivism that I love about our culture, but it also handicaps a lot of us, right?
100%.
Yes.
The fact that your seeds that you're supposed to be like growing into a tree, like people are supposed to eat fruit, and I feel like our people eat seeds.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
And while there is space for eating a seed, pause. Like I just feel like if I'm about to give you my seed,
whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Big pause.
Bring it back, Winnie. Bring it back. Reel it in.
If I'm from Jersey,
if I'm about to give you this thing that can be a tree later, right? Then you need to be starving. Like you need to be like it needs to be the difference between life and death. Because if we waited a little bit, this thing can become a tree. Mm-hmm. It can become a forest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's my only gripe with it. Like you said, I don't think anybody's saying like don't support, your parents and all that. I just think that parents can do a better job. And here's another thing. We can do a better job. Here's where we can do better, right? We can do a better job in setting up our parents.
Yes.
Right. To support themselves.
Yes.
So like I always say, like my mom doesn't really have like a strong 401k, but she has 4 kids. You know what I'm saying? So just remove that 01, like she got the 4K. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's good. We put that pressure on ourselves at that point to like, yo, we gotta meet this here.
Right.
But another thing that we could have done is like, hey mom, you making the bread, let me show you about this Roth IRA type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, look, I'm putting $1,000 into crypto next month into XRP. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want to throw in 250 here?
Right.
Like we can do that instead of, just continuously
dishing out money. Right.
We can help themselves in a way.
Right. No, I mean, not to neglect what Mike was saying. Like he's right? Like there are times where my mom's just like, oh, yeah, there's this auntie that carried you when you are 2. You know, I'm like, Mom, do not put me on the phone with anybody because I don't
my
need
God,
any
I hate
responsibility.
that.
You know what I'm saying? So I do tend to shut that down because now there's somebody who has reached to you, right?
But
and
it's
just
culture.
like, everybody doesn't need reach to you, you know, and because it always turns into something else.
Facts.
Right. But I'm not saying not to be polite and then understand why your parents were doing it, right? Like, they don't want to carry people on their backs, but they had to do it. You know what I'm saying? They had to do it.
Some
right?
people take pride in that, though.
They take pride in it because they can now do it. But there was a point where even them, they needed help.
Sometimes it's because they're in the situation that we're in. They're the first child.
They're the ones.
Like my mom, for example, is the first of, I don't know, more than 10 for sure, like 12 or whatever.
Wow.
And she came here first. So it's like, it's on her to get everyone over here. Or if you can't, then you got to send money back to make sure that everyone's good.
Right.
It's like, so it's tough, man.
No, I get that, my brother. I get that.
I have a question for y'all, and I know this is going to, you know, maybe this will be a bonus thing. I don't know. I feel like this is going to open up way more worms than it's should. Okay, here we go. Just like y'all the first sons, that first generation. I also feel like that y'all may be the first generation of money in America, if not the first, the second. So all the things that you guys have access to, privy to, generation before, 100% did not have. There's no way they could have did a rock RA. Man, I got $3. I'm trying to keep these lights on.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? So in a sense, you guys are kind of like the pioneers of setting the standard of the new way that you guys go forward.
Right.
So, number one, do you feel the responsibility and the weight of that? So now you guys are the money experts too, you know, in addition to the first sons. And then also, do y'all feel like how do y'all feel the Nigerian culture being affected by that going forward?
I think it'll be a lot easier for the generations to come that are here in America, because, I mean, being here in America is completely different than being home in Nigeria. Like, we don't have the same financial systems. There's still some financial concepts that are very similar, but I mean, I think it'll be super easy to educate generations coming behind us about 401ks and ESPPs and buying land and houses and investing. I think that that's very easy, especially when you're starting them at a very young age. The expectation is to have millions, if not more, later on. So when you start that from the ground up, like, the opportunity is there. But trying to go back and educate our parents on what we've learned right now, the ceiling is so much lower because there's less time for them to make the changes that we could make in a younger generation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that the flex for like the Nigerian growing up in Nigeria is to come to America, and the flex for the Nigerian in the diaspora is to go back to Nigeria somehow. Like, you think about it, like, when they make it, it's usually them coming here. When we make it, we go build a house back in Nigeria, back in the village or something like that. So I think that the way that money flows in and of itself, there needs to be some education there, because I think that and we can blame this on the corruption of Nigeria. I'm sure, like, but if we like teach that the next generation to spend money like appropriately, like spend money within your local communities, I feel like more money would reside there rather than coming here, where if it comes here, it's gone. Like, it's lost. We're gonna spend it on some white man's last name. You know what I'm saying? And then also in terms of like keeping like being the experts on everything, Africa is thriving right now. Like, Africa as a whole,
they're
like,
crushing it.
when we think about like startups innovating in that in Africa right now. When we think of like the natural resources that are innate to Africa, everything that they have, everything that they need, they already have. It's mostly just utilization now and removing, you know, the cancers that are the corrupt politicians and all of that. I don't think you can save a burning building from inside a burning building. So it might take coming out of that institution to then go back and be able to pour back into it. So I would just advise like that generation to like make it, like just make it, be successful, like be like gain influence, gain money, do what you have to do to make it, obviously within biblical bounds. And at that point, you can then start using that influence for some good. But if we try and like ground up and try and like fix what you can do over there, I don't think it'll work that way. I appreciate you guys, man, for coming through. I really do. You guys want to sign us out, tell the people a little bit about yourselves and where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm Mike Ogunfora. I'm on Instagram, big_Mike1006.
Cool. Joshua Beneri, signing out. You can find me on IG at Fendi Vuitton.
Frank, I know they've been calling me Chooks. You know, that's the name the friends call me.
Good name, boy.
But you call me Dr. Franklin Anya. I own a practice here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's called Douglasville Cosmetic and Implant Dental Studio. You can find me on Instagram at Dr._Franklin Anya.
Yeah, we roll with heavy hands in the building, man. All right, no, I do appreciate you guys for sticking around. Make sure to do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, keep God in your lives. All right, love you guys. Peace.